So let me take you through how it all started. It started in a small town in the eastern region of Ghana called Akosombo. So I was born and bred in Akosombo. Originally, my name is Patience, and my dad named me Patience. How did you find Patty, the name? I was watching a telenovela, and when they closed, like every time they closed, the credits, I saw Patty Diaz. I said, hey, sounds nice. So I said, okay, already people were calling me Pat, so Patty made sense, so I picked it up. So I went from KG up until JHS, I went to AIS, Akosombo International School, and then from there, I knew that I didn't want to continue SHS there. Since childhood, I've had a mind of my own, and my dad too was an enabler of that. He always wanted me to make independent decisions. So I knew that I didn't want to go to SHS in AIS. Here's why. I had lived all my life in Akosombo. So two things. If I go to SHS in Akosombo, it means that I'm going to remain in Akosombo. I wasn't going to have the opportunity to experience a boarding house because I live in the town. What are you going to do in a boarding house? Secondly, I wanted to see Accra. That was it for me. So if I wanted my dad to pay AIS fees, he would have tried, even though like it was a struggle for him to take me through AIS. I was the only kid that my dad took to a private school. So I got Tema School, and then I went to Tema School. After Tema School, I wanted to read law. So I applied to Legon and Tech. I didn't get in. One day I was there randomly, and then, hey, during that time, let me tell you, that phase between, you know that period you wait after SHS to get into first semester. Usually first semester starts in September. During that period, Charlie, some heartbreak that I was going through. I used to cry at night, playing worship and cry. My mother thought I was praying because I didn't get the school that I was. She didn't know that they had done me woto. So my mom was speaking to my dad to, can we find a private school for her to go to? It seems she's not happy having to stay at home for an extra year. And I had told myself that I wasn't going to stay at home for an extra year. And then mysteriously, I get an SMS from KNUST that they are affiliated with Ghana Telecom University. So I should apply there. I said, Telecom University, what do you mean? Then they had changed it to Ghana Technology University. So I went through their courses. There was engineering, there was IT. I have zero interest in that. And then I saw the business school. So I said, okay, I'm going to do HR. Since it's all about reading, I don't like math. I get into business school in January. So I didn't go to school with my mates in September. They do January intake, which means that you don't get a long vac. You use your long vac to do your second semester, so that by level 200, you go in with the people who started with September. So level 200, you're allowed to do, level 100 and 200, you're allowed to do general courses in business admin. I took 2 marketing courses during that time, and I absolutely loved it. One of my lecturers too was a fashionista, and it caught me. I said, okay, I want to be like this lady. I also loved the idea of being able to connect consumers and brands. Like that's what marketing does. So I said, okay, I'm going to major in marketing. I majored in marketing in level 300. Whilst in uni, I developed this interest of doing makeup on myself. I would go on YouTube and watch tons of videos. My friend Charity used to be a big fan of makeup and stuff. So she actually introduced me to watching YouTube videos on makeup, skincare, hairstyling and all of that. And she would buy makeup products, and I'll go and take some and come and use in my hostel, beat my face, like really slay my face, take videos and just post on Snapchat, dancing, singing, you know, those things. Little did I know that this makeup thing was going to come in handy somewhere in the future. So in level 300, my friend, Mother Gloria, introduced me to a group called Echo. It was a campus group where we do events, all the fun things. So when I joined the group, we're there, like we'll go for meetings, we'll go to their office, and it was a group created by a marketing agency. It's like a youth experience agency. So the campus teams were sort of the what do we call that? Like, we literally make things happen on campus on their behalf, basically. So one of the times, so this company evolved from a magazine. So they were launching their 10th edition of the magazine, and my campus president of our team was like, Patty, you speak good English, you write great English, because I was literally always correcting people in our WhatsApp group with their typos and all of that. And he says, I need you to write an article. So they were taking article entries from all the campuses. And that time, I was a natural hair girl. I was so in love with natural hair. That time too, natural hair was hip, as in the afro and all of that. And so I decided to write an article on natural hair. And I named it Natural is the New Sexy. Wrote a very solid article, and they loved it. So that was my beginning. So that was the beginning of my entry into the marketing industry properly, outside of school. By level 300 long vac, you're supposed to do an internship as part of your credit scores. And, long story short, I went to do my internship there, which is now Cool Peeps. The magazine was evolved into now Cool Peeps. So I was writing articles, lots of articles. I love to write, so it was sort of doing what you love. Now, during that long vac, the company has this beach event that they do every year, Tidal Rave. So my boss said, I want you to handle vendors in this event. I said, and this woman had a way of identifying the things I was good at. And put me in roles. Like, I can try to run away from it, but last when I do it, I realize that, actually I'm great at this. So I like being very organized. Like, if anything would describe anything about me, is you are organized, you like to put things in place. So they said, okay, manage the Tidal Reef market, and it was a hit. So for somebody who is organized, you usually do well with project management. So I was moved from the Cool Peeps department to the project management department. And then it evolved into handling small projects on campus. We would go to Legon campus to do activations. I'll manage vendors there. Then I had to go back to school. So level 400, I was still, doing it on the side, long vac. So the moment I finished school, my boss then, Beryl, said, I hope you know you are not going anywhere else. And truthfully, I was posted to my national service. I was posted to, hey, what's the place? Or don't go no secondary school or something. I said, hey, no, I'm not going to do that. So I was taken in as a national service personnel right after. So national service had not even started. By May, I was working with them whilst I was doing my project work, defense. And then I fully went into agency once I finished my project work defense. So from there, I was able to work on some major accounts like Vodafone. I worked on Fryto, and it got better and better and better from there. So I got a lot of on-hand experience in the agency. Like, the agency played a major role in who I am today. Excel, like PowerPoints, building solid PowerPoints presentations, managing clients, and all of that. Now, whilst I was in the agency, I have a thing for fashion, right? So I started a fashion brand called Style Mility, where I have a great eye for fabrics. So I'll source fabrics for people, make clothes. I also started, putting out content on personal branding as an entry-level executive, because Charlie, it's not easy to come out of uni into the corporate space and just figure things out. How do you show up in the best version of yourself? And I sort of had what's the thing called? I sort of had imposter syndrome, because my bosses, I'm going into meetings with major clients, like Nestle clients, like big brands, like proper marketing managers and brand managers and things. So I felt like that was not my place. And what used to boost my confidence was how I look. So I'll dress really well, do my makeup, put on some nice wig, wear my high heels, and then when I go into the meeting, even if I can't say a word, I feel good being in the room. So that's one of the things that sort of made me a little bit relevant. And you know, I'm petite, I'm smallish. When you enter a room, sometimes it's like, who is the small girl? What do you have to say? So my look had to speak for me before I actually start speaking. Then I started getting tired in the agency space. I started getting tired right after national service. A couple of things happened in, you know, corporate politics, a whole lot of things. I wanted to quit, but I said, well, if I quit, where am I going to get my daily bread, you know? My dad passed. My dad used to support me financially, small, but my dad passed in 2018, which means that I was on my own fully. So I couldn't quit my job at that point. So fast forward 2 and a few months later, so 2 years and a few months later, I was ready to quit. So this was 2019. I was ready to quit. 2019, by November, I knew I had it up to here, because I was not showing up the way I was supposed to. My house to the office is like 5 minutes drive, and reporting time is 8 a.m. Tell me why I show up to work like 10 a.m. Right? I had some nasty attitude. I'm not even going to act like I'm an angel. Like, I was really terrible at a point. So I just knew that I needed to unplug and find a thing that would work for me. So I said, okay, maybe I'm just exhausted. It's burnout. So let me go for my break. So we usually take a 2 weeks break during Christmas, which is technically not a break, because if you work in an agency, especially in an experiential agency, that is your peak season. So long as the account you are on is doing an activation, you have to be available. So I said, okay, maybe the 2 weeks break is going to help. But here's the case, that the 2 weeks, I didn't get full 2 weeks. We resumed first week in January. And when I walked into the office, I just knew that I cannot do it anymore. The environment was off. I don't want to go into that. So that very day, I texted my boss, same person who roped me into the company. I texted and I told her I needed to have a conversation with her. And I went to her house. We had the conversation, and she was actually worried. And she says, don't find permanent solutions to temporary problems. I really remember that. But at that point, I couldn't stay. Because if I had stayed, I'm sure that by the end of maybe the 3rd month, they would have to fire me, because I was not pulling my weight at all. So they thought that I was leaving because of my fashion brand, but genuinely, I was leaving to catch a breather, and then I would decide if I wanted to go to fashion school and then take the fashion brand, you know, seriously, because I was having certain challenges with the fashion brand as well, because I do not sew myself. So fast forward, I quit by end of February 2020. Now let me tell you how the Party the Strategist journey started. Before I quit my job, I had been telling a lot of people in my circle that, oh, I want to consult for small businesses. All these Instagram businesses, they are not doing some things right. So based on the experience I had gotten from the multinational brands, I realized that the only difference between you and a Nestle or a Unilever is the money that you have available to you. But the principles are the same. The consumer behavior is the same. So you just have to find something that works for your market. Do you get? So I wanted to do that, but in my head, it's like a long-term thing where I needed to build a brand to a certain point before I could do that. But Heavily Oasis, Nanefa, introduced me to a page of a business coach, and I said, oh, for my fashion brand, I need the business advice, so operational and all of those things. And I signed up for that workshop. So Trisha Bays was coming to Ghana to do a workshop. I said, okay. So I used half of my salary to make a deposit in January. And then my last salary, my February salary, I used to pay for the balance. So I was literally walking out with no money, no savings. Maybe you call it faith, but truthfully, it was quite a stupid decision to make. But yeah, it qualifies for having faith. I go for this workshop. This was in February, and almost everything the woman was talking about, I knew it. So I was like, wow. So it's possible, because I had been preconditioned to think that for somebody who is in the marketing space, it's either I'm working with the multinational brands, which is the Nestle's, the Unilevers, or I'm working with an agency. So here I am leaving the marketing industry. I do not have the money to start my own agency. In fact, I didn't have the guts to call myself an entrepreneur, to take big strides like that. So starting an agency was a no-no for me. And I was not connected enough to get jobs. You know, I hated interviews. I still hate interviews. So it was a no-no for me. But this woman was a visual representation that I can still pursue my marketing career. So that was like a huge light bulb moment for me before I left agency. So I went for this workshop mid-February. By end of February, I think 28th February 2020, that was my last day. Now, my last day was a very emotional one. Thank you, Mr. Day. This is a public shout out. Thank you so much for putting together that amazing send-off. It was an emotional roller coaster for me, because I wasn't sure if I had made the right decision. I was scared. I did it afraid. So, and in my department, nobody was around on that day. There were lots of jobs outside, that the people had to be on. So he pulled the Cool Peeps people, which is actually, thinking of it now, they are the same group of people. Well, not the same group of people, but when I was entering the company, I entered through Cool Peeps. And when I was leaving, it was these same people that Mr. Deb got to send me. Of course, we're in the same building. They put together really amazing notes for me about how I'm walking into bigger things, how they will miss my fashion, they will miss me walking into the building every day with, my clothes on point. Well, not always, because there were days that I couldn't show up like a badass. So yeah, thank you so much. That meant a lot to me, still means a lot to me. So that night, I was just there laying in my couch like, what's next? So I had told myself that I was going to take 1 month off, which was the whole of March, to just breathe. I didn't want to adult anymore. I didn't want to think about what next. I just wanted to be. And about 2 weeks into March, COVID lockdown. The sole business that I thought was going to fund this stupid decision that I had made, not so stupid, but this bold decision that I had made was not going to fly, because there's a lockdown, nobody's going to church, nobody's going for weddings. Weddings had been put on hold, and that was like my niche market, wedding guests and bridesmaids. So I said, okay, how am I going to survive? It was the guy I was dating at that time that, was giving me small money. Not so small, but he was supporting me during that time. And so I said, let's pivot. Now, I had seen Trisha Bays doing this, so I said, okay, I can do that too. So I said, okay, first March, we are launching. We are coming online with content on first May, we are launching. So April, I put together a few content ideas, things. Then April 29th, my phone got stolen. During the lockdown, you know, I was not moving and all of that. So one of the evenings, I said, well, I'm going to go for a walk in my neighborhood. Charlie, they stole my phone. That's a story for another day. So that forced me into an incubation period, what I call the incubation period, because I had the idea, but this idea was going to be launched prematurely, right? And it would have been a complete mess. So thinking back at it, that was God. You know, I thought that was the end of the world. The only thing I had left with me to make some revenue has been taken away from me. So I was really questioning my life choices. Already, I didn't have money, no savings. So what money am I going to use to buy a smartphone to do that? I only had a yam phone. The small phone that you can take only your SIM card, that you can make calls and SMS. And I appreciate that 3 months of not having a smartphone, not having access to the world. I was off WhatsApp, off Instagram. The only thing I had left with me was my laptop and my books. And it makes so much sense also because in 2018, whilst I was doing my national service, I bought a Mac. I saved money and I bought a MacBook. I said I don't want office laptop because the company used to give us laptops. I don't want office laptop. I like nice things. And we're going to give me a Windows laptop. I said no, I want MacBook. So I saved to buy that MacBook. That MacBook came in really handy. It was a really good decision to buy that MacBook. So if you're following the story, you'd see how things that happened, like there were things that were happening as a build-up to this moment. Because if I was using the company laptop and I quit my job, at that time, I wouldn't have any laptop to be working with, especially when my phone had been stolen, right? Before I quit my job, also, Mr. Day introduced me to a design tool called Canva. So during these 3 months, there's nothing to do, I'm idle, and I went back to my lecture notes from uni, my marketing notes, and I started restudying my lecture notes. Now, my lecture notes were making a lot more sense because previously I was studying to pass an exam and graduate and make my father proud. But in this case, I had almost 3 years experience from the multinational brands. So everything that we're doing in terms of activations, in terms of consumer engagement, it was beginning to make a lot more sense. So typically, I could explain marketing concepts better than somebody who has just the theory bit from uni. And I could also explain better than the person who has the experience from working in an agency or working with a brand. I had the major experience, and then I started breaking down marketing concepts. And then Canva came in handy. I started creating graphics. I started creating carousels, So for the 3 months, within those 3 months too, I got closer to God, which is a conversation that we would have later. By July, I think that was when God said, I think you are ready now. You've been incubation. So for those of you who understand the concept of premature babies, that was basically it. You have to be somewhere for a while, being fed, with machines and stuff. That was my incubation period. And July, one of my friends, EP1, gifted me. She said, I have this 8+, I think you can use. So when she gave me the phone, 14th July 2020, I came back online, reintroduced myself, and I announced what I wanted to do. 15th July, content started coming out. Now I had about 2 months worth of content sitting on my laptop because I had 3 months to prep, right? So what I'm going to say about that is sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you are desperate to make money and it will cause you to do things prematurely. And that is going to frustrate you even more because you are definitely not going to see the results that you are desiring. That money you want to make, you will not make it because you've not put the right measures in place to be able to see the kind of results that you desire. So please give it time. If it's possible, don't rush like me. Prep yourself, save money, put a contingency plan in place. But if the university is working on a plan for you like mine, then pray and allow things to fall in place. So that's how Patty the Strategist started. We kicked off, and so in July 2023, we are celebrating 3 years of running this brand. My entrepreneurship journey has been quite an interesting one. This is a brief overview of how the journey has been so far. There's been struggles. There have been nights that I would cry. There were times that I would question my very existence. But that phase did something for me, which was it prepped me for the harshness. It prepped me for the times that I was not going to get support from the people that I thought were going to support me. It prepared me for not looking for external validation because now I had built my confidence. The girl who was in the agency that wasn't so confident had built her confidence. But even that, it was still, shaky. So I'm still becoming Patty the Strategist. There are so many things that are in store. I keep saying that what you know as best is not the best yet. There are bigger things. So in the near future, I'm looking to help many businesses. I'm looking to make more impact. I'm looking to help people make more money in their businesses, women, men, all together. So that's it for today. Now, there are a few questions that came in from my Instagram community. So I'm going to answer those ones, and then I'll leave you to marinate everything that you've listened to today. Okay? We good? Okay, so one of the questions coming in was, why law? Why did you choose to do law? So growing up, I used to be that no-nonsense girl. So even till dates, right, something can happen and my friend will say that, can you relax? Can you calm down? Because they know that usually my reaction is, to explode, right? I used to like to argue based on facts. So I'll go and look for facts and come and point it out to you and tell you that this and this and that. So I felt like I was smart enough to be a lawyer. Yes, I do feel, I am smart enough to be a lawyer, but I don't think being a lawyer would have been what I've been called to do. That's not my purpose in this world. So God deviated my path, or what do they call it? It was a detour, a very, very solid detour that makes a lot of sense now based on what I'm doing. So yeah, I just wanted to read law because I could argue. But I don't think the pressure that these law students are going through, no, I would have wanted to go through it. No, dear, I don't like learning. The only thing you get me learning is marketing. Like I can study that for years. I won't ever get tired. Yeah. Second question is, what are some of your favorite things to do? I like making money. I like making money, and I like helping people make money. But yeah, I love swimming. Swimming is therapy for me. And that reminds me, I need to go back to swimming. I need to go back to actively swimming. There was a point where I used to swim 3 times a week, and it was the best phase of my life. This was in 2021. My life was less chaotic around that time. I love nature, anything nature. I love going to the beach. I love things that make me happy. So if you are somebody that when I hang out with you, I get positive vibes, positive energy. I do your body like skin tight. I just love positive people because I feed a lot of energy So if you are in a gloomy mood and I'm around you, I most likely would, soak up that energy and also become gloomy. So I love hanging around with positive people, energy, vibes people. I love sleeping. That's actually supposed to be the first on my list. I love sleeping. I love watching the movies. One of my favorite places to hang out is the cinema. So yeah, those are some of my favorite things. Top of mind, that's what I remember. Next question. Why are you single? That's a deep question. I don't know. Maybe I'm single because you've not asked me out yet. So enter my DM. Let's make it happen. Maybe I'm your future wife. You do not know. So shoot that shot, my dear. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has been worth your while. So this brings us to the end of the Beyond the Strategy podcast. But before I sign out, there's a scripture I have for you, which is Jeremiah 29 verse 11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you." I'm not OD like that. So plans to prosper you and plans to give you hope in a future, right? So go and pay attention to that verse. Everything that's happening is happening for your good, right? Tie your agenda into God's bigger plan. You are just a small fraction of God's bigger plan, right? So if you try to take control of everything, my dear, life will frustrate you, right? You find a sense of peace when you accept the fact that you are not in charge. There's somebody who is in charge of your life. The best way to do this, or the best way to run this life, is by being in tune with this person. You will not be given a job in your office and then you figure things out by yourself. You have to be, checking in with your boss every now and then to give them updates, to get feedback from them on what to do next, right? They give you a task you complete, you go back to your boss and tell them, but I did it, this is what we achieved. And then, sort of giving them progress reports. That is what you are supposed to do. Be guided by the Holy Spirit, because there's nothing that's going to happen that is going to be of doom to you, right? He has big plans for you. He has great intentions for you, okay? Catch you on the next episode of this podcast. I hope this conversation would be of help to you. I hope this conversation helps you paint a picture of what is possible. It may be tough now, things may be hard now, but I can bet you that if you give it time, things will fall in place. Bye for now.